Now we're ready for the second rolling and folding. Now what you'll start to notice is that you'll start seeing butter through the dough, and you just can't worry about it too much because it doesn't help. And it doesn't seem to hurt too much. Now we just have to put it back in the refrigerator for another 20 minutes. Okay, it's time for number 3. Okay, back in the fridge for another 20 or 30 minutes. And the final fold. And back into the fridge. After 30 more minutes in the fridge, we can take the dough back out and continue with the recipe. But this is also a good time to split the recipe and do a 2-day process. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to leave the dough in the refrigerator overnight and come back in the morning. It's the next morning and we're ready to roll out the dough and make our croissants. The dough rose quite a bit in the fridge last night, so we'll see how it rolls out. We want to dust the counter pretty well. And it's a nice chilly morning, fortunately, so that's a perfect temperature perfect situation to roll out croissant dough. Now you want it about 1/4 inch thick, and I actually like it a little bit thinner than that. And one thing that I read somewhere is that you can get these dowels. This is a square dowel that I got at a local building supply store, and you can straddle the dough with them and use them as a guide to get the correct thickness. Now because of the gluten in the dough, it tends to bounce back a little bit after you roll it out. So I usually, after I've done using the dowels, I usually go a little bit more because it's going to snap back and end up being about 1/4 inch anyway. All right, I think we're ready to cut the pieces out. Let's see how big this is, just so in case you're wondering. It's about 12 inches wide. About 11.5 there. And it's about 30 inches long. I forget what the ideal width is. I've made them too wide so that the croissants end up being too big. I think 11, 12 inches is about right. Now I just use a knife to cut the shapes out that I want. You can use a pizza roller, pizza cutter. Now, hopefully you can see this. I'm going to cut square off the ends a little bit. You can still actually make little designs out of these ends, so you're not wasting anything. Well, maybe you can, but I still put them in the oven and bake them. All right, now let's make a couple of just kind of stereotypical croissants. We'll just cut some triangles. I'm only going to make a few of these, maybe even just a couple, because there's a lot more interesting things I want to do with this. And then, well, let's cut the shapes first, and then we'll start putting them together. Okay, there's 3 classic croissant shapes, and then we'll do a couple of chocolate croissants. Those are kind of on the small side. It's all right. And then this is where it really gets amazing for me. Besides the usual croissant shape and the chocolate croissants, my favorite thing by far is to make savory croissants. So besides the sweet stuff, make some of these. It's worth the extra time and effort. You can put pretty much any filling inside these you want. And I'm going to put on the website a couple of suggestions that I made last night and are ready to put together this morning. Well, gosh. You want to cut a little slot at the base end, the wide end of the croissant. And then I kind of like to, then you just roll it. And I like to kind of pull it so it stretches out more. And then you can just roll it up like this. Roll it kind of tight, and then you can bend it so it's kind of a classic crescent shape. And then it goes on a pan with a parchment paper lining. And when you put them on the pan to bake or to proof first, put the tip down on the pan.